1986 wasn't just a season. It felt like basketball briefly reached its final form.
Time's really hard. And that halftime talk he gave is one of the best I've ever heard.
Everything about that year felt different, sharper, heavier, like the game had suddenly grown overnight, and right in the center of it stood a team and a superstar playing on another plane. And here's where it gets even wilder. Larry Bird walked into 1986 like he'd already solved basketball. After back-to-back MVPs, he didn't slow down. He somehow became even cleaner, sharper, smarter. Every possession looked like he was reading the court a second ahead of everyone else. His passes snapped through tight windows. His jumper felt robotic in the best possible way. And his leadership had an edge. Almost prophetic. You could see opponents realize it in real time. We can't stop him. What would you even do guarding a guy who knew your move before you made it? But wait, it gets even crazier, because Bird wasn't carrying a weak supporting cast. No, this team was a machine. The 1986 Celtics blended McHale's impossible post moves, Parrish's quiet dominance, DJ's calm control, Ainge's edge, and Walton's resurrected brilliance off the bench. It was basketball harmony. Every cut, every extra pass, every rotation looked rehearsed even though it wasn't, and their home court dominance, unreal. Teams walked into Boston Garden knowing they were basically showing up for a loss. The chemistry was so tight it almost felt unfair. Honestly, have you ever seen a team this synchronized?
Lakers in the middle of the season, we couldn't wait to show them our shiny new 7-foot red.
And here's a part that blew my mind. Bill Walton wasn't supposed to be relevant anymore. After injuries derailed his career, most people counted him out. But with the Celtics in 1986, he became something else entirely. Coming off the bench, Walton controlled the paint like he owned it, setting screens, threading impossible passes, and hitting shots that seemed effortless. He perfectly complemented Bird's perimeter genius, giving Boston a balance no one else could match. Every time he touched the ball, you could feel the momentum shift. Honestly, Walton turned comeback into a full-on statement. Have you ever seen a sixth man dominate like that? And now, Kevin McHale, the man with moves that made defenders look foolish. In 1986, McHale's footwork in the post was like a chess master playing basketball. His spins, hooks, and fadeaways weren't just skill, they were art. He racked up career-high scoring performances all season, putting teams on notice. Even when a broken foot threatened to sideline him late in the year, he refused to stop. Every game he played through the pain, every possession a lesson in toughness and precision. Watching him was like seeing someone perform magic, but in slow motion. Could you imagine scoring like that with a busted foot? And this is where Larry Bird became more than a player. He became a legend in every sense. 1986 wasn't just about stats. It was about the aura he carried on the court. Bird had this uncanny ability to get in your head before the first dribble even happened. There's the classic story of him literally telling defenders where he was going to shoot. Like, I'm taking this one from here, you can't stop me, and then draining it anyway. Some nights he'd force himself to play left-handed just to humiliate the opposition, and somehow it still worked. The Atlanta Hawks learned a painful lesson when their entire bench laughed at one of his impossible shots. They got fined for it. Fans would talk about the mixture of brilliance and mischief he carried. It wasn't arrogance, it was pure confidence backed by the skill to make everyone around him look ordinary. Bird's trash talk wasn't just words, it was strategy, showmanship, and dominance all rolled into one. Every time he smiled after a bucket, you knew he had already won in more ways than one. The Celtics didn't just have a great player, they had someone who made basketball feel electric every single night. Would you have laughed along or frozen in fear if Bird stared you down like that?
Offense in that opening sequence. When you depend on your superstar to get you 30 a game all season long.
And here's where it gets even crazier. The 1986 Celtics didn't just make the playoffs, they owned them. Boston plowed through the Eastern Conference with a mix of precision, chemistry, and sheer confidence that left opponents stunned every series. They blended Bird's court vision, McHale's post artistry, Walton's energy, and Parrish's rebounding into a seamless machine. Teams tried to adjust, but nothing could slow them down. The Celtics weren't just winning, they were sending a statement. Each game felt like a masterclass in teamwork, intelligence, and pure basketball talent. Have you ever seen a team move like this? And then came the showdown everyone talks about. Michael Jordan dropping an insane 63 points against the Celtics in a playoff game. MJ was electrifying, unstoppable, and fearless, but Larry Bird's response was pure class. After the game, Bird famously said he was God disguised as Michael Jordan. That quote stuck because it captured the awe even the greats felt facing greatness. Watching Bird and Jordan trade moments was like witnessing two basketball universes collide. The Celtics still held their own, but that night was a reminder of how transcendent both players were. Can you imagine such a duel?
Really can't be intimidated by this crowd. He has to play with a lot of points. McHale going in.
And here's where the Celtics truly stamped their dominance on history. The 1986 NBA Finals against the Houston Rockets. Boston faced a duo of future legends in Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon, both towering, talented, and ready to challenge the best. But the Celtics weren't just ready. They were calculated, disciplined, and relentless. Bird, McHale, and Parrish exploited every matchup advantage, while Walton and Ainge provided the perfect balance of defense and playmaking. Boston's chemistry and experience overwhelmed Houston, controlling the pace and spacing every possession perfectly. Game after game, the Celtics dictated the action, and the Rockets simply couldn't find an answer. By the end of the series, Boston's dominance wasn't just measured in wins, but in how they controlled every moment, asserting themselves as arguably the greatest team assembled. And here's the crown jewel of 1986. Larry Bird capturing his third straight MVP. This wasn't just an award, it was a statement. Bird's 1986 season represented the absolute peak of his dominance. He wasn't just scoring efficiently, he was orchestrating offense, rebounding with authority, and dishing out precision passes that seemed impossible. Every stat line told a story: points, rebounds, assists, steals. He did it all. More importantly, Bird's impact wasn't just individual, it translated directly into wins. The Celtics were a force because of him, and opponents knew it. Every game felt like a chess match where Bird was 10 moves ahead. Winning 3 MVPs consecutively cemented him not just as the best of the year, but arguably the best in history at that moment.
28 seconds, Bird, slap pass to Archibald.
And while 1986 was Bird's year, it all marked the dawn of basketball's next era. Michael Jordan was exploding onto the scene, his 63-point playoff game a signal of what was to come, symbolizing the rise of a transcendent superstar. Meanwhile, Hakeem Olajuwon was already showing glimpses of greatness, blending skill, agility, and dominance into a style all his own. The league was witnessing a talent explosion, with young stars stepping up, challenging veterans, and redefining what it meant to be elite. Fans got to see the passing of the torch. From Bird's dominance to the emergence of players who would shape the NBA for decades. It was a rare moment where past, present, and future converged on one court, and the excitement was palpable. And here's one of the most heartbreaking what-ifs in basketball history: the 1986 NBA Draft. The Celtics selected Len Bias, a player so hyped that many believed he could extend Boston's dynasty well into the late 80s and 90s. He was explosive, skilled, and seemingly destined for greatness. A perfect complement to Bird, McHale, and Parrish. But tragedy struck almost immediately after the draft. Bias passed away, shocking the basketball world and leaving the Celtics without the talent infusion they had counted on. His death didn't just alter Boston's trajectory, it changed the NBA. Teams reconsidered draft evaluations, fans mourned a lost star, and the league lost a potential generational talent. The what could have been still haunts fans to this day.
Points in the NFL. Bird then blazed into Portland, picked up.
And here's why 1986 still stands tall in NBA lore. The perfect storm of talent, storylines, and unforgettable moments. The league was stacked with stars: Bird, McHale, Parrish, Walton, Jordan, Olajuwon, and Sampson, each defining the era in their own way. Rivalries sparked on every court, from Celtics versus Lakers to Celtics versus Hawks, creating drama that had fans on the edge of their seats. Individual performances were historic. Bird's shooting, Jordan's scoring bursts, McHale's post moves. Teams like the '86 Celtics set a benchmark for greatness, blending chemistry, dominance, and flair. And crucially, it was the last fully realized year of the pre-Jordan era, a bridge between legends of the '80s and the explosion of the '90s. Every game felt essential, electric, historic. And that's why 1986 isn't just a year, it's a legend. From Bird's brilliance to the rise of future stars, basketball peaked. So what's your take on the greatest season ever? Drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe. I've got way more amazing stories coming your way.